Exactly 1 year to the date away from the 2019 FIFA Women's World Cup in France. Tonight, though, the first of what will be two exhibition games between the defending World Cup champion, the United States, against China. The U.S. Women's National Team pregame show is sponsored by AT&T. A beautiful evening in Sandy, Utah. Hot though, 87 degrees. Fans still filing into Rio Tinto Stadium. Hey everybody, I'm Katie Witham, down on the sideline alongside former U.S. Women's National Team standout Leslie Osborne. Thanks so much for joining us, Leslie. It's hard to believe we are 1 week away from the Men's World Cup in Russia, 1 year away from the Women's World Cup in France. 8 nations have already qualified, including tonight's opponent, China. For the U.S., though, what's the focus?
It is all about October and qualifying. Everyone remembers the loss against Mexico in 2011 qualifying process and the men's most recent loss against Trinidad. As a player, your mindset has to be day-to-day and taking care of business. We saw Julie Ertz at practice yesterday and we reminded her, hey, we're a year out from Paris. Are you so excited? And she laughed and said, oh my God, her and the team are so focused on these games against China, the prep going into Tournament of Nations and qualifiers. She had no clue.
Yeah.
And tonight, the China will face a new challenge for them.
They are going to face a new challenge, and here's who's going to be out there for them. Jill Ellis making 5 changes.
Yeah, and Becky Sauerbrun's going to actually tuck in more centrally, so it's going to look more like a 3-back because Crystal Dunn's going to get so high up on that left flank. And number 25, McCall Zerboni, getting her first international start. Excited to see what she can bring to this squad. Julie Ertz inserted back into that defensive mid position, and Megan Rapinoe and Alex Morgan in peak form right now.
Let's take a look at the other bench. China also in a 4-3-3 today.
Yeah, and you know, we don't know what to expect from this new coach job. Traditionally in the past have been very disciplined, compact, and sitting back on the U.S. So I'm excited to see what they bring out tonight. But some of you may remember number 7, Wang, who did score against us in 2015 in Abby Wambach's farewell game. But number 10, Li Ying, is also a goal scorer, and the U.S. have to be careful with her tonight.
1 year away exactly from the 2019 FIFA Women's World Cup in France. It all starts tonight, though. Stick around. Much more to come here from Rio Tinto Stadium.
I said I'm sorry. I was eating a Milky Way.
Hey, pass me that bug spray.
At least it was SPF 50. Sorry.
The pre-game show is sponsored by AT&T. It does have a certain ring to it, the USA and China, certainly in women's soccer terms. Derek Ray here with former US national team midfield player Ali Wagner. Ali, you've played China on countless occasions. You know what it takes to beat them. Talk to us about the specific challenges of this assignment.
You know, I think this team, compared to the team of old, is very different. This team is, from what we anticipate, although they do have a new coach, is that they're going to sit back in low blocks and be hard to break down. And historically, that's been something the U.S. has really had a challenge with. Think Sweden in the Olympics. I think from this U.S. side, they've got to keep up the tempo. They've got to move it side to side and make those channels internally bigger and get more runs out of midfield. Yes, Megan Rapinoe on that left flank can break open a defense at any given moment, but I think collectively you want to see this team not run out of ideas the way they did against Sweden.
Well, it does evoke memories for those of us of a certain age. 1996, the Olympic final, Tiffany Milbrett. And then, how about 1999?
Chastain will take it. Goal! Abby Wambach, her final match in her illustrious career.
Played across, quick shot, and they've scored. China should celebrate. The unbeaten streak at home is over. Snapped at 104 in Abby Wambach's final game.
The fajitas are sizzling at Golden Corral. Every night just $13.99. Flame roast sirloin, seasoned shrimp, and spicy chicken. It's sizzling fajita night, just $13.99. Golden Corral. Your choice, rules.
In a stadium, Rio Tinto, just outside Salt Lake City, where the US women have a 100% record. They ready themselves for a meeting with China, first of 2 games against the Steel Roses in 5 days. With the focus for the USA firmly on the CONCACAF World Cup qualifying tournament to be held in October. Back-to-back free-scoring victories against Mexico last month netting 10 times in all. China already assured of a place in France at the FIFA Women's World Cup 365 days from now. It is a hot June night here in the state of Utah as the teams make their entrance.
Soccer and Qatar Insectary Talent present the national team of the United States of America versus the national team of People's Republic of China. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your hats for the playing of the national anthem of the People's Republic of China. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing and welcome singer-songwriter Mallory Kate to perform the Star Spangled Banner.
Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you, Mallory.
US national anthem performed by Mallory Kate, regular performer here in Utah. So 56 previous USA-China encounters, plenty of epic clashes. China's 9 wins, second most among all opponents, topped only by Norway's 19. Well, what about the thoughts of the USA coach, Jill Ellis? She's with Katie Witham.
Jill, it's always good to test yourself tactically. If China does come out more defensive-minded, how do you want to see your side break them down?
Well, I think, it's picking and choosing our moments. I mean, we've definitely got to have sort of maximum width there. We've really got to have good tempo on the ball and look for diagonal balls. I mean, we've got to move them and have confidence to play into their blocks and obviously then use the width. So, it's going to be a good challenge for us. And obviously, at the end of the day, it's about finishing our chances inside the 18.
Appreciate your time. Thanks.
No problem.
Well, I sat down yesterday with Jia Shuquan, high-profile figure in the Chinese game as a player. And as a coach in the Men's Super League, this is his first official match in charge of China's women's team. He said he does want to make the side more dynamic and give younger players their opportunity in time. Not necessarily tonight, though. We hope to learn a lot from these two matches against the United States. And the referee is Lucia Venegas, a teacher from Guadalajara in Mexico. She was the main official for the USA's 1-1 draw with France at the She Believes Cup in Harrison, New Jersey in March. Well, every game counts for the USA, and a lot has been gleaned already from the matches in 2018, Ali.
I mean, compare that to 2017. The U.S. has been on the front foot all of 2018. They've settled into their system, more importantly, and they're starting to find partnerships and build relationships within the squad. But I had to go back to 2016 to find a team that really sat back against the U.S. That was Romania at the end of 2016. So we'll see if China does in fact sit in low blocks, how the U.S. operates today.
You'll notice the U.S. players are wearing their rainbow numbers, all part of Pride Month. You saw the U.S. men perhaps last week doing that against the Republic of Ireland, and the Irish followed suit. Three-match show of solidarity, and it's good to see Julie Ertz back in the side, her 60th international appearance, back from injury.
And a welcome addition. I mean, the U.S. is so deep in the center of the park, and the fact that even McCall Zerboni's getting her first start tonight speaks a lot about the quality within the league. Julie Ertz found her way into that role because of her position with Chicago Red Stars, playing that spot for under Rory Dames. McCall Zerboni getting her call up because of her performance with North Carolina Courage. So you're seeing the results or the impact that this league is having on this U.S. team.
Yeah, always a big part of the story, what's happening with the NWSL. So just about ready for the off. Suffice it to say, it's hot here in Salt Lake City this evening. Will be the US to kick off. The 7th of June 2017, exactly 12 months away from the opening game at the FIFA Women's World Cup in Paris, the City of Light. Tonight in Utah, it is a matter of the US trying to illuminate and entertain their fans against opponents who might have fallen down the pecking order in international terms, yet still command respect. China. The US will hope to be on the front foot for the most part. Abby Dahlkemper in the middle of the defence. Interesting that Becky Sauerbrunn has got the right back assignment. Wonder if that's a portent of things to come, or if it's specifically for this match tonight.
I think it's more a situation of U.S. not having pure outside backs at their disposal, with a lot of injuries going on with Kelly O'Hara, Casey Short, shifting things around. But let's remember that Becky Sauerbrunn typically plays on the left side of that center back partnership. New role for her, but good 1v1.
China, we should stress, already guaranteed to be in the World Cup next year. Finished third at the recent Asian Cup. They were disappointed to go down to Japan in the semi-final, 3-1. The players actually had to all apologise on various social media platforms. That's what really prompted the change of coach. Crystal Dunn, she likes to be let loose on that left-hand side. Alex Morgan was prowling in the centre, and the concession of the first corner of the match, Ali.
Just a good diagonal ball. Jill talked about it, pressing in behind if that space is there. China was pushed higher. Crystal Dunn recognized, and she's wide open on that flank too. She's going to be the one to get in a more advanced position, and Alex Morgan threatening in between the center backs.
Megan Rapinoe in terrific form for club and country. Plays for the Seattle Reign. And it will be Rapinoe to deliver. It's a devilish one. Hasn't cleared away properly. The goalkeeper, Pung, just managed to get a piece of that. That's an area where you suspect the US would hope to capitalise. We'll see.
And the U.S. is so good on set pieces, and they're going to want to keep reining these in on the goalkeeper. She's not so certain with her hands nor her feet. Continue to test her early and often, And with Julie Ertz coming back into the lineup and the service of Megan Rapinoe, that's a partnership that China has to be wary of.
One of the senior figures on the side, Megan Rapinoe, and reveling in that role, you just feel.
And the freedom, getting high on that back line and not having as many defensive responsibilities, especially with Crystal Dunn pushing up and having the freedom to rotate defensively high.
She was talking to us about that yesterday, Ali, about how this 4-3-3 setup really plays to her strengths, allows her to get as high up as possible.
And she's playing easily the best football of her career. So dynamic and confident, taking on.
Lindsay Horan's threaded past that time. Looking for Savannah McCaskill. Interesting inclusion in the starting 11. Her first game from the outset for the USA. Has made an impact as a substitute before. I suppose it was only a matter of time, really, for McCaskill.
And part of her role tonight is going to be to maintain that width up top. She's one of those disciplined players that can go out and execute a coach's game plan, and that's going to be with her to hold wide and hold that space to stretch out that back line when China is sitting in, to create those channels inside.
Made her debut against Denmark in the 5-1 victory at the start of this calendar year. Savannah McCaskill. Don't forget, China prevailed in the last meeting of these two countries at the end of 2015. So the Superdome in New Orleans. What was Abby Wambach's final match for the USA? Rather spoiled the party.
Not the strongest performance by the US that day. Their eyes are on something else.
There's Rapinoe with Dunn to the outside. Just overcooking it, Megan Rapinoe. And Dunn available. All started with Lindsay Horan's pass. Megan Rapinoe always involved in the attacking action, it seems. You tend to think of China as a deep sitting team. They like the opposition to come at them.
And they just don't really have the athleticism, Derek, or the pace to stretch the opponent. So if they do go in the counter moments, it's going to be with few midfielders tying in, not direct.
I told us earlier 4-3-3. It looks a bit more like 4-5-1, doesn't it? We'll
without a doubt
come back to that, yeah.
Yep.
Excellent distribution. Horan once again for the USA. Ertz fed it out. And again is Julie Ertz. Sits deeper than the other midfield players for the US. Touched on by Morgan. How can China get into an attacking gear? Number 7 on the ball, Wang Shuang.
And here's where the US has space in behind to go direct.
Didn't quite happen. Rapinoe in that position on the left for the USA. Early sparring stages here in Salt Lake City.
Yeah, you could see her motion to Julie Ertz was, I'm making that cutting run in behind. I'm not trying to pull wide.
Tierna Davidson, only 19. Whenever you talk to Jill Ellis about Tierna Davidson, her eyes light up. You get the feeling she has the potential to be the cornerstone of that US defense for quite some time.
Just so impressive in her confidence coming in as a young player with this squad. Look at that ball.
Yeah, that's what she's capable of. McCaskill cutting in. Savannah McCaskill. Not quite what she had in mind. Li Ying for China. Zhang Rei. There's something that the new coach, Jia, would like China to improve on, their counter-attacking game. Wants it to be altogether swifter, having watched tapes of previous matches. Used to be the Man from Iceland, Sigurdur Ragnar Eyjolfsson, who was in charge, but he was thanked for his services after their defeat at the hands of Japan in the Asian Cup. Still qualified for the Women's World Cup. Let's get a quick word from Katie Witham. Katie, what's on your mind down by the pitch?
Well, early in this one so far, Derek, and all I've heard from Jill Ellis on the sideline is her focus on the back line, trying to have the U.S. lock China into their own defensive half. You've noticed early in this one, they've been well ahead of that center circle line at certain points, but she's called out to Becky Sauerbrunn and also Abby Dahlkemper multiple times, telling them to push up, step higher, and also challenge for any 50-50 ball out there to help try to lock them in.
Interesting. Press and press high, I think, was a summary of the message from Jill Ellis in advance of this game. Ali?
And look, if China's not going to threaten in behind on direct play, you can afford to push those players in. Can't squander a turn ball over in the center of the park, however.
Just a little bit sloppy by Sauerbrunn. Let's see if China can make waves in an attacking sense. It was Wang Shanshan.
And that's the evolution for this U.S. side, is to sense what the opposition is bringing. Yes, they had a scouting report coming in. You'd assume they'd know that they're not going to stretch you with pace and behind, so you can afford to commit a center back forward to be in a more aggressive position, and that can help create overloads on that back line.
Here is Dahlkemper. Made her U.S. debut here in Salt Lake City when last the U.S. lined up here. That was against Switzerland, October 2016. 4-0 win. Davidson. And Ertz. Once again happy to try to keep things ticking over in midfield. Haran. It's going to run out of play. No real difficulties encountered by the Chinese defense.
And that's where the U.S. has to be more patient. You saw them probing. I don't think it's early in the match. It's 10 minutes in as Jill Ellis looks on, but the U.S. isn't getting that counter movement, the flow better. Alex Morgan checks off the back line. No one's reestablishing pressure centrally, and that has to start to evolve if you can pull them out of shape. On that last ball, Lindsey Horan just squanders it, gets wasteful.
Had an interesting early test of the new laws of the game. The law changes come in 1st of June, if there are to be law changes. China tonight had 14 substitutes listed, but they were told to think again because under one of the new law changes, you can only have 12 listed on the bench. 6 might come on. Tonight's telecast is sponsored by AT&T. And it's great to have the pleasure of your company wherever you are this evening. Rio Tinto Stadium in Salt Lake City. US and China. It's an international fixture that always carries resonance in the women's game. Haran has been penalised for her intervention. The player who went down was Wang Chuang. Sanea getting the nod in goal. Still get the feeling that the goalkeeping position is up for grabs where the US team is concerned. We'll get Ali's thoughts on that just in a second as Zhang Rei stands over this free kick, contemplating and then executing, and that will be comfortable for Nea. What do you think about the position between the posts, Ali?
Everyone that stepped in has had some gaps in these friendlies for the U.S. I think in the NWSL as well. Alyssa Nair's had a better spell recently with her club form, but it's certainly wide open, and you see Abby Smith coming in, getting a look. Casey Murphy from abroad coming in, getting some looks. So it is wide open. World Cup, if they do qualify, still a year out. There's time for players to prove themselves.
Yeah, Ashlyn Harris might have been part of the equation tonight, but picked up a hip injury yesterday. Casey Murphy, you mentioned, who's been playing fantastically in France with Montpellier. Ashlyn Harris having to be content with the role of spectator. Well, 12 minutes in, how would you sum up what we've seen so far, Ali?
Not clean yet. There isn't a lot of tempo or up-tempo changes in the match to pull this or make this Chinese defense uncomfortable.
Iran, too long and too strong.
And it's also just playing right into the flow of the defense there. Yes, Alex Morgan has the pace to get on the end of service like that, but you want to see the U.S. start to break China down through their thought process and the communal movement.
Effective pressing just then from Morgan, trying to put the wind up. Peng in goal. Offside flag going up just as that was developing anyway. Alex Morgan, 4 goals in the last 2 matches, those 2 games against Mexico. Could do no wrong.
And starting to find her form with her club team as well, with the Orlando Pride.
This came off Morgan. A bit of illegal discomforting there from Nicole Zaboni.
But I think Alex Morgan tonight, I know it's still early, has been left isolated. Megan Rapinoe is staying wide, McCaskill's staying wide, and you'd like to see then center mids get underneath Alex Morgan to play off of her. Or more ideally, Megan Rapinoe filtering inside and allowing Dunn to be the one to establish the width high and wide.
Iran showing for it. Sauerbrunn certainly heard the footsteps of Wang Shuang. Just peters out for the USA. Let's talk more about the attacking side of the game for the USA with Katie Witham. Katie.
Derek, Ali just mentioned Alex Morgan being a little isolated so far in this one. Everything that I've heard from Jill Ellis, she recently got Savannah McCaskill's attention over here on this near side, talking to her about her movement, specifically telling her, I want to see you win all of the corners for us, but specifically get out there and work on your diagonal runs.
Yeah, and with her cutting in, she's one of those players that can play a 10. Yes, she could be a striker, but she's more nuanced in her movement, and she's just kind of been, I think, a bit stoic in her positioning and staying wide.
Should stress no Mallory Pugh tonight for the USA. Does give others an opportunity, in this case McCaskill from the start.
And that front three with Pugh and Morgan and Rapinoe was just flying, so it's unfortunate that she picked up a knock.
Here is McCaskill. Once again, just overhit in the general direction of Haran.
But even if she connects that pass, Derek, Lindsey Horan is isolated in that situation. They don't have numbers over here.
But I think China are entitled to feel fairly happy at the way this match has started. Pretty comfortable, pretty much in front of them.
Especially not knowing what to expect against this U.S. side. And with the new coach at the helm, playing in a different system. This is a team that usually plays in a 4-4-2, and they're in a 4-3-3, matching up in the center of the park.
And Morgan releasing Rapinoe. Trying to go around the outside. Keeping tabs on Rapinoe was Lo Jiahui. Trying to make a bit of headway through Li Ying. Rapinoe. You can't really take your eyes off Rapinoe as an opposing defender, not even for a fleeting moment. Dahlkemper. And again, the width provided by McCaskill. Sauerbrunn. Now Ertz. Simple but effective pass to Haran. Zaboni in a useful looking position as they try to indulge in a bit of pressing again here, the USA. And that's fantastic. Well, it looked like fantastic play by Zaboni, but she hasn't got away with it. You've got to admire the intention.
And that's so much better from the U.S. because the offensive look was good, but they also had the defensive numbers because they did switch it, and they were creating an overload on this side, and that allowed them to press in and not allow China to get out. Yes, they give away the opportunity with the free kick, but a better look.
Ren's pass for China. We've been able to get the right back forward too often. Low. Wang Shanshan can certainly do damage. 28-year-old made her debut for China back in March 2012 against Germany. Can they tee something up here? Wang Shuang. Joy up against Sauerbrunn. Haran and Sauerbrunn once more. 10:33 yesterday. Becky Sauerbrunn.
It's been a fun partner or matchup to watch between Sauerbrunn and Wang there.
They are going to see plenty of each other, I think, Ali. Ren, and that will be Alyssa Nayer's ball. A blank score sheet. Rio Tinto Stadium. Julie Ertz. Had a good chat with her yesterday, raring to go again, delighted to be back with the US women's national team. Casco just outnumbered there, outthought as well. Still trying to force a mistake, in this case from Zhang Rei. Liu Shanshan, the left back there, wearing the number 2 shirt for China. 26-year-old. In the footsteps of her father, who was a professional player in China. And Crystal Dunn, and that's what the US fans wanted to see. Trying to pull it back, and covering up is Bang. Rapinoe had made the dash into the centre, but that's what Dunn can bring to the attack, even though she's nominally a defender.
And this all started with her actually stepping up and winning it in midfield, and then the combination with Morgan and Dunn down that flank. Rapinoe trying to get inside to that near post, beats her player, gets her head up, and tries to slot it in there. But well off her line is Peng. But Derek, that's all with Crystal Dunn stepping hard into midfield, winning that initial ball.
Crystal Dunn, the NWSL MVP back in 2015.
An MVP as a front runner because she was scoring goals all over the place. So versatile.
Let's see what the US can conjure here. Headed away by Wu Haiyan, the captain of China. She was an injury doubt. We spoke to the coach yesterday. Jia wasn't entirely sure if she was going to make it, but she was given the vote of confidence. Julie Ertz for the USA. Sauerbrunn elects to play it to McCaskill. Keep it alive, Ertz. And Morgan shuffling for space. China defending en masse pretty effectively.
Yeah, but the U.S. has 5 players or 4 players back with marking 1 Chinese player. You got to get the rotation up and put more pressure and stretch that Chinese defense out. They're not creating the overloads. They're being very conservative in their positioning defensively, the U.S. that is.
It's all part of a learning experience for this U.S. team. Nobody wants to get ahead of themselves. But when it comes to the World Cup, John Ellis was talking to us about this yesterday. This is the sort of game that you might get in the knockout stages. It's a pretty savvy side. Wang Shuang for China. As they circulate the ball, so Ren getting into position, and Nayer. Well, she got there. Excellent release it was by Nayer, and now Rapinoe and Morgan trying to get in behind the defence, but the rescuing challenge there from Wu for China, that was crucial.
And the 2 best looks, that and the previous play with Dunn, go figure in when China's pushed out, and in a transition moment when the U.S. can pick it off and spring. It hasn't been in their tactical approach when they're trying to break China down. Oftentimes that could be the case in these moments, in these types of matches, excuse me.
Shuang, once again, Sauerbrunn was there now. It was painful. Li Ying together with Julie Ertz. Just come back from injury. This is what happened, Ali.
And Sauerbrunn goes to ground, and then it's challenge coming in from behind. Ertz sees it, I think, at the last second. Just cleans out both legs of Ertz.
Well, she's back on her feet. That's the good news.
She's usually the disher out of those moments. The brawn in the midfield.
I suspect she'll remember that particular moment and who the perpetrator was. Sauerbrunn, and now Ertz on the ball for the USA. McCaskill. The idea was to spring Haran on the Chinese defence. Neat and tidy when in possession, China.
Still toothless in their attack.
Yeah. Well, they don't try too many ambitious passes. They've given it away here. That was Yao Wei, the 20-year-old who's been drafted into the squad for the first time. Zaboni challenged. McCall Zaboni. That was the hashtag, wasn't it? McCall up. We saw on social media.
And well deserved. Even on that run there, you saw her just glide across her defender to cut off any retreat.
Rapinoe. Now Ertz, and it was over vigorous. She knows it, Julie Ertz. Jill Ellis, almost 25 minutes in. So many interesting examinations coming up for the USA, the Tournament of Nations. After this, featuring 3 of the best teams in the world. Japan, Australia and Brazil, 3 different venues here in the United States. But really, all they're talking about in the background, Ali, is that CONCACAF qualifying tournament in October. And after what happened to the US men, nobody is taking anything for granted.
Why'd you have to bring that up, Derek?
Just being honest. Now here's Haran veering into position. Behind it goes for the corner. Spinning off Wu. Better from Haran.
And you see Morgan just posted up there, gets the run off of her with Lindsey Horan. Good communication there. Lindsey Horan will strike from anywhere.
It's going to be the outswinger from Rapinoe. She pick out one of the aerial targets. Trying to get that to curve. Ended up pumping the outswinger. And we spoke about the FIFA Women's World Cup. Teams who are guaranteed to be there already. Ali?
France, Australia, Brazil, I mean, Japan. Of course, they jump out at you. China, we'll see what they can do or produce with this new coach at the helm. But that's a strong sampling already in. Thailand getting their second bid.
European qualification still in progress. Number of games today, more tomorrow, and the early part of next week. This international window in the women's game. She does hold things together at the back, Wu. Quite the battle between Wu Haiyan and Alex Morgan. Another set-piece opportunity here for Rapinoe. Is in there making the late run. Isn't quite what Rapinoe had in mind, but still alive here for the USA. Flag's gone up though, offside. And it grinds to a halt. 0-0 here in Salt Lake City. Say it really is a fantastic venue, this. My first time actually inside Rio Tinto Stadium. Capacity of around 20,000. Can be expanded to 25,000 for concerts. The likes of Paul McCartney, Kiss, Journey and Neil Diamond have all performed here.
Only you would know that.
From Cracklin' Rosie to the Steel Roses in this game anyway. Now let's see if China can ask questions of Nair. Well, the shot has gone just that little bit wide off the boot of Wang Shuang. Every so often they get into advanced positions.
Yeah, but they're still releasing it around the 18, and that's what the U.S. can expect. Have to step hard in those moments.
Just a reminder that in 7 days, the 2018 FIFA World Cup is coming to Fox and FS1. Every match live and over 300 hours of coverage. The world's biggest sporting event begins June 14th on Fox and FS1. Wu again, is making sure that nothing untoward happened against Morgan. And I must say, going back to the subject of the World Cup, Ali, looking forward to the pleasure of your company on a daily basis.
Don't be so sure about that, Derek.
Well, the opposite might actually apply as well, so just be mindful of that.
It's going to be a good run, a busy run.
Yep, certainly is. Well, there's nothing quite like it. And a year exactly away from the start of the FIFA Women's World Cup.
And with qualification looming, Derek, you talked about how important today's match is with a team that likes to sit deep and play on the break. That's more than likely the type of opponent the U.S. is going to face in CONCACAF qualifying. He's going to look to absorb pressure.
There's Dunn. Still going, Crystal Dunn. Oh! Alex Morgan attempting the flick. Excellent teamwork. First Dunn, and then Morgan looked to finish it off.
And chances coming from that left side with Dunn getting there. Alex Morgan making the near post run, and that was really the only option that Crystal Dunn had. She draws 3 defenders with her, Alex Morgan, that is. No one else was coming in behind to provide the depth in the box. Just think the U.S. has looked pretty disjointed. I know you've got a new center mid with McCall-Zerboni. You've got a new starter, McCaskill, on this right flank. I think they've looked disjointed between midfield into that front line.
Rapinoe, natural runner with the ball at her feet.
Well, she's 1v2 and cover support coming in slow behind.
Almost a languid style, China. Very deliberate. Wu across the defence. Lin, her central defensive partner. Lin Yu-ying. Wang Shuang protecting the ball on this left-hand side for the Chinese. Back in play by Sauerbrunn, but they couldn't keep the ball. That was Lindsay Horan. Bit of pressure from China, and then it's given away by Wang Shuang. Pino, Ertz. Here's Davidson, the Stanford Cardinal.
But even when they were finding her early on, Derek, I just don't think they were doing her any favors. I know it's her first start, but she was isolated far too often, and that's not really going to be her skill set, is to take players 1v3. She needs players around her to combine. That's where the U.S. has to have better recognition that it's not on in this flank and to change it out the other side. Crystal Dunn been more bright in the attack.
Storming in again was Zerboni. That's very much her style. Doesn't like to put the brakes on. Effective ball winning by Ertz. Now Rapinoe. Quick switch towards Morgan. Cover there for China. Won 5 of the last 6, the Chinese. It's not a bad idea by Dunn. It's McCaskill heading it down. And, well, the decision does go the way of the US. Horan lining up the shot. Corner is the outcome.
This is a better diagonal ball played in behind McCaskill than threatening. Horan coming in underneath. She's really good at reading that long diagonal pass and running off of it, Horan.
Does have goals in her game, usually, Lindsay Horan. Particularly at club level. Rapinoe. Just took off a little bit. Davidson. Sarah Brunn for the USA. Done. Rapinoe finds herself on the right-hand side for once. Juliet. She was being hounded every step of the way there by Yao Wei, keen to make an impact. Her first appearance for China. The challenge wasn't deemed illegal as it came in, and now counter-attacking possibilities for China. Wang Shuang at the hub of most things creative, and Li steadying herself, and Nea takes charge. Well, Li Ying, normally lethal, 7 goals in her last 5 matches for China, but Nea, right place, right time.
And he thought as she was opening her body up, she was going to bend that far post, but Nair quick to the ground on that. One pass beat 3 back players for the U.S. and took them out.
And now the U.S. to go into the passing routine once more.
And you can just see how many players they have sitting low with McCall and Ert sitting deep. Now Horan pulls out. There's just not enough pressure on that back line. And if you're going to do that, then you've got to get late runs out of mid.
Rapinoe. Dunn pops up on the right this time. Splendid ball right across the face of goal. Well, they have to be content with the corner. McCaskill in the middle. They'd switched positions there. Meanwhile, at the other end.
This was China on the break, and Wang just holds it enough to draw 2 defenders, and the timing is exactly right. With Li slipping off that back shoulder. Should have finished from there.
Rapinoe again tasked with taking the corner. Plenty of movement inside the area. Now who wants it? A bit of a scramble. Zerboni was close to the ball.
This is a look at the chance that led to the U.S. corner. Rapinoe pulling off that back line, and it's Dunn again who springs it. This time the U.S. gets 2 runners. Alex Morgan coming near, and then McCaskill far, and then McCall Zerboni. We've seen her score like that in the NWSL. That one just catches her.
A little flurry of activity in the last couple of minutes. But still, it is 0-0. Less than 10 minutes to go to half-time. As the road to France continues for the US women's national team. Done. Too much on it for the liking of Horan. China, as we said, victorious on the last visit to the USA when they defeated them in New Orleans. Remember, they met in the Women's World Cup in the knockout stages.
And Derek, I wasn't sure if it was just a factor from the corner being played out, but Dunn has in fact shifted into the right back spot, more than likely to deal with Wang, because she was getting the better of Becky Sauerbrunn, and Tierna Davidson has gone to an outside back role. See if she can play make from that position.
Interesting shuffling around of personnel, Ali. Now, see if Zerboni can feed Rapinoe. Offside it was anyway. Yeah, Donna right back now as we look at the defence. Dal Kemper, the right centre back. As you said, Sauerbrunn left of her, and then Davidson left back. Rapinoe playing high up the pitch as she likes to do. Effective in the air, Lindsay Horan certainly had the beating of Li Ying. McCaskill. Ertz behind her. Zerboni. Sauerbrunn out for Davidson.
And with the U.S.'s center of midfield being so flat, I just think they're missing that connection high underneath Alex Morgan. You see how flat they are across the pitch.
Lindsay Horan. To work something with Savannah McCaskill. Did come off for the USA. Ertz and Morgan and Horan and Zerboni. Davidson, will she get there? There's the answer, she does. Corner kick chiseled out of that. Good stuff from the USA.
And that is better with the players pulling off the back line and playing in the seam at least. Able to get themselves on the half turn, change the point.
More fluent that time. And now Rapinoe surveying the scene. Megan Rapinoe away to the back post where McCaskill was stationed. Something Megan Rapinoe does very well, Ali. Varies those corners. You never quite know what's going to come over.
No, but most of her service tonight has been whipped in towards the goal frame. More runners have to get across and expect that one to die.
Rapinoe. Referee intervening. Just a reminder, coming up at half-time, sponsored by AT&T. We'll have all your first-half highlights and analysis. We'll talk the road to France for the USA. So try to set something up here. So again, Rapinoe. China have acquitted themselves pretty well against the best team in the world. McCaskill, that's offside, done. Made the run too early. Just over 5 minutes left in the first half. How would you quantify what we've seen up to this point, Ali, here in Salt Lake City?
I really do think it's looked disjointed in the attack, and I go back to the flat midfield. You can see McCall, Zerboni, Julie Ertz, and Lindsay Horan playing narrow and tight defensively, and I don't know when they're springing into offense if they're getting enough penetration underneath, because it's Yao of China sitting in that pocket of space and winning a lot of entry passes. But as with anything with the U.S., as the game goes on, you see they start to settle in, start to wear the opponent down, and those spaces become bigger and bigger.
Jill Ellis will shortly be able to address her charges. Interesting to see if we have any half-time substitutions to take note of. I'd imagine 1 or 2 certainly. Players who need a bit of game time.
And to manage minutes. I mean, it is at altitude here, and they're in the middle of their NWSL season with a lot of midweek games. So right now, we talk about qualifying. Part of tonight's match is just escaping with this group healthy. Julie Ertz working her minutes back up.
Alyssa Nair, Stratford, Connecticut. Chances few and far between for the USA. That's something they'll certainly hope to change. But China, as ever, pretty obdurate in this game. Difficult to get past.
They've been stronger than I anticipated, that's for sure, Derek.
They've fallen down the world rankings in recent years. To go back 15-20 years, you'd be talking about China with the USA and Norway really as the best 3 countries. Germany probably in the argument as well. Done and stabbed behind for the corner, this time by Lin for China. She hasn't had too much to do, Pang, really, has she? A couple of interventions, but not a whole lot. See if Rapinoe and company can test her here. With half-time approaching in Salt Lake City. Nothing wrong with the idea as Morgan tried to get on the end of that corner from Rapinoe. Dunn floating in, took a deflection on the way through to Pang, but quick thinking by the goalkeeper. 0-0 it remains.
And this is off the quick restart by Megan Rapinoe into Dunn, and Dunn has just created so many problems. Yes, that deflection proves fortuitous for Pang, but Dunn has been one of the bright spots for this U.S. in the attack.
Spoke about obstinacy from China. That was, of course, what we saw from them in the Women's World Cup, the quarter-final stage, when it was just 1-0 for the United States when all was said and done. Trying to come away with the ball again here, China. Only sporadic counter-attacks, but enough to keep the US defenders on their toes. Ren Guixin, 29-year-old midfield player. We have a thriving domestic league, a bit of money being spent to bring in overseas players as well. Dalian, they side everybody else tries to take down. Champions 3 years running. Here's Rapinoe. Outfoxing Lin. Really giving her the runaround. Lovely skill. Morgan was again waiting inside the box, but that was down to Megan Rapinoe.
And just a little showing off at the end here. Going around and then trying to find Morgan at that near post. We've seen Alex Morgan make that run so often tonight.
Morgan readies herself for another Rapinoe corner. Just unable to hit the target, Alex Morgan.
Those outswingers are proving more dangerous for the U.S. than the ones that are curling in from Megan Rapinoe.
What do you think Jill Ellis will be stressing in her halftime team talk, Ali?
I think more connection to that front line and changing the point, going up tempo more often. There is space in the flanks to get around the edge if the U.S. is quick in playing those diagonals. And I would like to see more movement out of that midfield, more darting runs.
She's on the wars again, Julie Ertz. Never afraid of that, though. And that will be that for the first half here at Rio Tinto Stadium. The USA unable to trouble the Chinese defence too often. They have carried the game to the opposition, but just occasional counter-attacks from China, meaning that the US cannot get overconfident about this. They have work to do without any shadow of a doubt. Half-time analysis to come. This international stands at 0-0.